So one of my episodes of Spell It Out for Rhetorical Arts talks about be then leave. It talks about the two aspects to believe, one being that you be yourself, that you be who you truly are, that you be as you truly are, and that you be yourself deeply enough to then leave. That you leave and you go where who you are takes you to, where who you are meets how you are, and that you're willing, when who you are meets how you are, to go as far as that how allows. And the hows allow, because there's many ways that we are ourselves. But the leaving part is essential to believing. Because yeah, when you're truly able to be yourself deeply enough, to stay yourself, to continue as yourself, you have to leave. You have to leave. You have to leave what is not you. You have to leave the things that are not true. You have to leave the things that are dying. And it made me think a lot about things I believe. This video, this idea. One of the things I believe deeply is that, we have the workforce, which is one way of surviving in this place, where the focus is being able to survive, where in the workforce you force yourself to work, and that's why it's called the workforce, because it's a force that works you into things, that works you into things, that this is a world where, we go to work. We go to work. We move to work in order to work. Where we work out. Where we're working on ourselves. Where things work out. Where, it's all about work. It's all about work. Where we make it work. We make things work. And that is one world. That is a world. That is a world in and of itself. Something I believe deeply, and that I've wavered in this belief. I've struggled in this belief that I've had, and in this thing that I believe, which is that there's another thing. There's another way. There's another way. And the other way happens through play. I stopped because I came across this park, this playground, and it just made me kind of feel like it's giving me the grounds to kind of speak to this. So I'm gonna sit here and see what appears. But the other way is the play. It's the play flow. It's what I call it. This other way of living, this other way of being. When I was a kid, I was deeply embedded in the play flow. I never could fully get out of those waters. I can never fully get out of those waters. The play flow just filled my life. And I got older, and I was told to get out of the water. The world said, get out of those waters. Get out of the flow. And I never could fully. I tried to, I wasn't able to. I believe that you can if you operate in the workforce, you'll survive. And it's been difficult because you grow up with living under others' roof. You live under your parents' roof, and for my parents worked. They worked, and I've worked too. And And what I'm saying is not that you can't have a job or any of that stuff, but I'm speaking to this other flow. I'm speaking to this other thing, this other way of being and living that is not focused on surviving but thriving. And that's the main difference between the workforce and the play flow. When you operate in the play flow, you're the current that runs for your life, the currency of your life it's immersed in thriving and not surviving. The priority is the thriving. And again, these things can go hand in hand. You know, because survival is an important thing. I don't say this to discount the workforce or discount work or discount doing difficult things that we don't like to do. I mean, that exists in this world clearly, without a doubt. But there's another way to orient life. There's another way to orient it. I believe in that. I believe in other ways to play flow. And this is what has caused me the drift towards the creative way of living, to creating art and creating life and being creative about life. Because when in that realm of creating, of creativity, it's about play. You know, when you get involved in music, you don't work music. We say we play music. Music is something that we play. You know, when a play is a theatrical display that people are in, and that characters act in. And sometimes in a play you play certain roles. Sometimes the roles that you play are difficult ones, aren't ones that you necessarily want to play per se. But again, you play the roles. You don't work them. You play the roles. So if there are difficult things that you have to do, you dance in the difficulty. And I spoke to that. It's about, when I say you, I'm talking to myself. And I'm just reminding myself how the play flow works. You play the roles. You don't work them. You let things play out. You don't. They don't work out. It's about the fun. It's about the fun and the function. And the emphasis on the fun, the emphasis on the play, I think gives you a way to enjoy life regardless of where it displays itself and where it shows up. Everywhere it becomes a playground instead of an office. It's how I have, and I've spent time trying to deny that priority in my life, and I tend to stop living when I do. I tend to stop being when I do. When that energy calls me to go in a certain direction and I don't go in that certain direction, when I don't follow that intuition, when I don't get into it, I don't get into the play and the way that it takes me, what ends up happening to me is that it leaves without me. And I stop believing, and I start leaving important things behind. I start leaving myself behind. And there's a lot of people that have been in motion and going through the motions, and they've left the energy part, the E in the emotion. They've left the energy behind. They've left the vigor of their lives behind because they're just in motion. There are people who have kind of left what matters to them and what's important to them. They've left that behind. And we're supposed to be mankind, not man cruel. And I just, as humans, I find that it is a culture of cruelty. It's a culture of cruelty to keep play a bay, to keep it away, to not allow it to be a way that we can go. I believe in the play flow. I believe in prioritizing play over work, thriving over surviving, because sometimes in order to thrive, certain things have to die. Certain things cannot survive. Characters get killed off in stories so that the story can continue. Aspects of who we have been prevent us from being has-beens when they get placed in the trash bin, when they get killed off, when they get let go. And part of that is letting things play out, letting the world play out. But you have to play. Like, you have to play the game, to play it. You have to let that game play out in order for it to happen, in order for things for you to operate in that force, so that you're not forcing it. In order, not the force, to operate in that flow, because it's you start to force it when you try to make yourself play. That's kind of a pointless. And so this is kind of why I have where I'm at. This is why I'm where I'm at. Yeah. And the play flow can be scary. This is why we create fences in life, like, like, I didn't even know this park existed. Like, this park was like tucked away somewhere, and it's like we tuck our play away. We call it a toy box. It's like, put your toys away. We're told that when you're younger, you're told, put your toys away, put them away. And it becomes this lesson that we use to live life through. We put our toys away. We keep them over there, or we make them collectibles. We keep them on display. We never play with them. We just collect them, And I think we do it. We become collectible. We become collectibles of life instead of playing life and playing with life. We become a collectible of life. We don't allow ourselves to play. We put ourselves on a shelf. Standard police are patrolling, confusing while consoling us to stay in the comfort zone of which we are consoling. A comfort zone that says put ourselves on a shelf, and don't come out because it's bad for our health. They say it's bad for the community, that it ensures our unity. This view amuses me because I follow it usually. It was unconsciously abusing me till I repented and refuted the consensus so that I could be authentic. Now, although that makes me vulnerable, at least that stance is ownable. These free thoughts are my property. They're never loanable. They can always be controlled, though, if they only betray a part of me. It's like having a blood in a heart but no arteries. Without arteries, blood, sweat, and tears goes nowhere. People would come to be inspired and would only find a show here. But many people show on earth to show but never tell about who they really are. Instead, they let their real selves dwell. This path of superficial glass needs to be shattered so we can speak about some stuff that really truly matters. And if I flatter in this message, then I fail. So I won't. What I'm trying to say is don't be like anybody else. Be yourself. Be yourself. Be yourself. Leave everything else. Be yourself, leave everything else. That's the key. That's key. That's gonna give you the energy, the key, and that'll open up. That'll unlock life. At least for me. At least for me, I can say that to be true. And I'm gonna test that. I'm gonna test that somehow. You know. No, maybe I won't. Maybe I won't. You know, a test is something that you take at school, like you go to school and you have homework, and the point of the homework is to learn the things you've learned in class and worked on in class. Then you take tests. You know, you have your quizzes and you have your tests and your you know, test the waters. There's no need to test when you're playing. There's no need to test when you're playing. Just play. There's no need to play test. You know, in games talk about play testing. Let me try this. Let me try this game. See how it goes. Just play it. If you put it down, you put it down. But play. Play. And this is, again, I get worked up. And it causes a lot of anxiety in me. I see things out of place. For me, I see a world that doesn't make sense to what I sensed, and it doesn't make sense to my innocence, and it doesn't make sense to the senses beyond the ones we typically use. It doesn't make sense to my intuition. Intuition is what you pay, by the way. Intuition is what we pay, by the way. When we choose to play, intuition is the payment. It's the pay that is meant for playing. It's intuition. You know, when you go to school, you pay tuition. When you go to play, you pay intuition. You pay attention to your intuition. It's your intuition, not your tuition. It's the inner cost. And that's what gets lost in this world. We look at the outer, we look at some bank account outside of ourselves. We look at the money that we lose, gain. But we don't take account of the story that we start to tell. And we have to tell it, right? You or at least that's how it feels. It feels like you have to tell the story that life is about work, and you have to tell your story to work yourself up, to get worked up, so that you can work out here. And in the process, we lose the play. We forget that it's a play. We forget that these are just roles that we're playing. That we begin to work, and then we begin to work those roles. We begin to work on top of those roles. We work on those roles. We work on top of those things that we put out. And then we put up with all that comes with that. We withstand that. We stand with it. And it takes us to begin to intuit, to connect with our intuition, to connect with the things that we pay in ourselves, to truly learn who we really are, to truly educate ourselves, to truly educe. Educe being the Greek word meaning to draw out, until we draw out. And that's the thing. When we educate, when we educe, when we educe, when we draw out what is in us, and that's the purpose of education and learning, it's about drawing it out. It's drawing. It's art. It's creating. It's creating. It's drawing the picture. Not coloring the picture in. You know, we operate like this world is a color book. We treat our lives like color books. Just saying, all right, what's on the page today, and then coloring it in. Instead of what's on the stage today, and then playing again. Playing. You know? Intuition. 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 When we get into it. You know, I've been talking about really, of all these spell it out videos, there's just, it's come down to one thing, wordplay. You know, wordplay. Wordplay wisdom. That's what Spell It Out has been about. Playing with the world. Playing with the words. Playing with the things we say we have to do. And playing with the things that we say we have to be. So we could believe. Ground zero. We could find the ground zero. Where we truly begin. We get to find the playground we're meant to play in. We work on those roles. We don't play in them. We gotta learn how to play again. And what happens when we do? What happens if we grew from that? And I'm gonna say we, I'm not just gonna say me. Play again. You might have been you might have been failing. Maybe you're taking the game too seriously. You know, that's one thing that happens in video games too. It's like sometimes you could see it. The person who's like in a fighting game, who's like, he starts taking it really seriously, he starts getting anxious, starts messing up, making basic mistakes. You're working too hard. You're working too hard. You're getting anxious. And so you gotta play again. You gotta play again. You have to play again. You have to play again. 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 And what you gain is a wisdom to life's rhythm. You gain a way to play instead of working. So if it's not working for you, as it hasn't been working for me, perhaps we should play again. Should play again. To find a way through play instead of work. Instead of being at work, perhaps we should be in play. Play again.